And I got to tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy.
A little trash talking from Tim Walz. Back in happier times. Now America has seen it. Kamala has seen it. This was a huge, huge, catastrophic failure and a beautiful moment for MAGA. For Donald Trump, of course, for JD Vance, and for all of us. I mean, let's face it, there have been some up and downs, right, in this campaign, and it was glorious. Now, I know people have been talking about this all day long, but I want to say a few things about it. He was brilliant. He was calm. He was so knowledgeable. He was aggressive at the same time. Hard to put all that stuff. He was nice and yet very, very aggressive, JD Vance. Anyway, it was just a couple of seconds in when I realized Walz was having a meltdown. I'll get to that in a moment. But a few minutes in, I think it was just total victory, total and complete victory for JD Vance. Take a look.
Kamala Harris has a record, 250,000 more manufacturing jobs just out of the IRA.
May I respond to that?
Yes.
So appreciate that. So if you notice, what Governor Walz just did is he said, first of all, Donald Trump has to listen to the experts. And then when he acknowledged that the experts screwed up, he said, well, Donald Trump didn't do nearly as good of a job as the statistics
that's a
show
gross generalization.
that he did. So what Tim Walz is doing, and I honestly, Tim, I think you got a tough job here because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens. I was raised by a woman who would sometimes go into medical debt so that she could put food on the table in our household. I know what it's like to not be able to afford the things that you need to afford. We can do so much better. To all of you watching, we can get back to an America that's affordable again. We just got to get back to common sense economic principles.
Vance, I can't believe you're saying all this stuff in public. I'm in trouble. It was beautiful. And you know what? It was so authentic. You hear politicians talk about their childhood all the time. It doesn't mean anything. You know they're faking it. He's not. He's not. I'm not going to waste too much time on CNN and the others, but they did acknowledge. They acknowledged that Vance won this thing. It was pretty sweet. My second favorite moment, just owning it. I mean, just taking it from them. You know what I mean? Take a look.
In Springfield, Ohio, and in communities all across this country, you've got schools that are overwhelmed. You've got hospitals that are overwhelmed. You have got housing that is totally unaffordable because we brought in millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans for scarce homes. The people that I'm most worried about in Springfield, Ohio, are the American citizens.
And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status. Temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank you,
Margaret. The rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own leadership.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CBP One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process. Nora.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you, Margaret. We can't let anything go off script whatsoever. And we're in control of the microphone button. These two women, I'll have more to say about them. They were impossibly bad. I mean, just the worst ever. And this individual with their hair and the makeup and the drama behind stage, right backstage, ooh, toxic. That's the word. Sorry, not me, but the elite media, that's what they have to say. All right. I want to take a quick time out. Donald Trump. We can't forget, this is the guy who saw the talent in Vance. A lot of people knew he was talented, but there were all kinds of pressures. You got to take a woman. You got to take a person of color. You got to take this. You got to take that. He saw something in this guy. He knew it. and it's paid off spectacularly. Remember, the fake news said this guy was a monster for the past 3 months. Tells you something about the fake news, huh? Really. All right, back to Walz. And I'm going to start with, again, bad dreams, anybody, last night? It's not what he said, which was, I mean, a complete catastrophe, his remarks. But the body language first. I mean, he was so, I mean, afraid at times. I'm nervous, swallowing, gulping. This renders him ineligible for the vice presidency and certainly the presidency. Imagine President Xi, right? That guy from China. I mean, he's like a sphinx. This guy doesn't give away anything. You got nervous Nelly Walz with Xi. Think about that. That's a threat to national security. You can't have that. This guy, everything's on his face. You got to have a poker face. Whoa! I mean, JD Vance is from Ohio. Relax. Let's see here. Putin. I mean, right? This guy means business. You got to be on your game when you're with Putin. Walz, no. We can't. It has to stop right now. I mean, we know Kamala can't hold her own with these people either. So it's looking, this is the coconut tree moment, right? I mean, making jokes about coconut trees. They don't take her seriously. They won't take America seriously if these two manage to get elected. All right. Oh, one other thing about his face. When he was staring off like that, who saw it? Who saw the resemblance to Don Rickles? Don Rickles in Casino, Don Rickles in whatever. There's De Niro yelling at the cheating gambler, and there he is in the back, right? A little bit, but Don Rickles had confidence. Walz has none of that because he doesn't know anything. I mean, all right, the China stuff was great. China, what is he going over there so much for? I didn't realize that he went over there for a year. His first trip was for a year in 1989. And did you know this? This is, I guess, why he went. This is why the Bidens kept going. The past year that Tim Walz spent teaching school in China was a very rewarding one, he says, back in 1989. No matter how long I live, I'll never be treated that well again. They gave me more gifts than I could bring home. It was an excellent experience. What was their motivation, Tim? They just gave and gave and gave to me. Going there was one of the best things I've ever done. That's all the way back, actually, in 1990, he says this to the local paper. So he keeps going back and back and back dozens of times. He doesn't have any relatives there. That is bad. Now, the fake news last night didn't ask the question, but they asked a question about some of the discrepancies about his bragging and all this stuff regarding China. Tiananmen Square. Remember this, right? I remember where I was during that moment when they put it on TV. It was a horrible thing, and we were rooting for the resistance. Tim Walz wasn't really rooting for the resistance. He was rooting for the government, it sounds like, in addition to lying about his whereabouts. Take a look.
Governor Walz, you said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy?
Yeah, well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service.
He called it service, palling around with his friends on bikes in the afternoon. That's not service. He is so not ready. I don't think he's ready to be governor, quite frankly. Next, please.
My community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. Look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to Congress for 12 years.
Yeah, actually, they didn't, you knucklehead. Sorry. This is about 1989, 1990. Minnesota, he didn't find that district to elect him to the Congress until 2006, everybody. This is about his days in Nebraska. The community there, he says the community, no. You see, there's something very, very evasive, dishonest, Weird, right? Didn't he kind of popularize that about us? No, it's him. I know you are, but what am I? Sorry. And then this. It doesn't get worse. This may be the worst moment in vice presidential debate history. I mean, right?
My commitment, whether it be through teaching, which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier or was being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests, went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Thank you, Governor.
He didn't think for a moment that he got away with it, did he? You never know, though, with the fake news. They give this guy lots of passes. Did he say he learned about governance when he was in China? Yes, he did. He said, especially in 1989, the Tiananmen thing that we were just talking about. What did you learn about governance back then? This is the danger. He's essentially a Marxist. He goes over there, he sees all this stuff, they ply him with gifts, they won him over. It's incredible, and it's in plain sight. All right, a couple more things. Who do you think understands the law better? Who has better reading comprehension? Take a look.
This is a very simple proposition. These are women's decisions to make about their healthcare decisions, and the physicians who know best when they need to do this. Trying to distort the way a law is written to try and make a point, that's not it at all.
What was I wrong about, Governor? Please tell me, what was I wrong about?
That is not the way the law is written. Look, I've given
But
this...
how?
I've given this advice on a lot of things, that getting involved, getting engaged, that's been misread, and it was fact-checked at the last debate. But the point on this is there's a continuation of these guys to try and tell women or to get involved. I use this line on this, just mind your own business.
No, that line doesn't work, especially when you're talking about babies in the 9th month in the mother's womb, especially when you're talking about transgender nonsense, right? We care about children. Actually, the state has a role to protect children, right? From abuse, from death. And we looked at the law, and Vance is right. In fact, they allow abortion in Minnesota all the way up almost until 10 months. I looked at the law, and they do. It's actually hard to read. I think on purpose. They obfuscate this stuff, right? They make it complicated, but keep going. They deleted this. They inserted that. They delete partial birth. Yes, they deleted it, right? We're going to delete the partial birth prohibition. They'll delete the partial birth prohibition. And what did they actually come up with? 39 weeks. That's almost 10 months. Abortion until almost 10 months. That is, many of us believe, infanticide. Even pro-choice people. That is way too, you can't do that. There have to be reasonable restrictions, right? And I never thought about this. I watched the debate, part of it, with my father-in-law, who's a cardiologist. He's a medical doctor. And he told me something about PTSD. You've all heard about it in like kind of military terms, right? What it can do to soldiers. How about medical staff? How about nurses? When 9-month-old babies are being, you know what happens. It's having an effect on them and on all of us.